and the topic was eRecruiting. I sent the guys an article recently from Dennis Dodd of CBSSports.com, basically talking about the new style of recruiting. And, you know, a lot of things with our works. We talked about working from home. We talked about being mobile, you know, being over Zoom and video conferencing nowadays. That's happening in college football, especially with recruiting. We're seeing Zoom meetings with recruits. We're seeing video tours using a drone to go around the campus. We're seeing Penn State tell their recruits to send drills, go to their backyard, do drills, and send in the video. We're seeing 1 hour meetings with the entire staff so you can get to know everyone, because now you can't get to know everyone in person. But I don't think it replaces the in-person meeting, especially the way Dabo Swinney likes to run things with these camps in the summer. There's no camps. So my first question to you, Al, is what are your thoughts on this e-recruiting wave that's happening? Do you think it's kind of, a lot of it's here to stay, or is this something that's just kind of temporary? What are your kind of first thoughts on it?
Well, my first thoughts are it's probably here to stay for some degree, at least. I mean, I think there's going to be a little bit going on. If you can't convince somebody to travel, you know, across the country, maybe a California recruit or something like that with scheduling issues, yeah, you're probably going to see some of this Zoom type stuff go on. I think that's going to be pretty commonplace from here on out. But Clemson, the way Clemson recruits, you know, they do such a good job. They really narrow down their board to just a few select players. You can see that every year. They offer fewer kids than almost anybody in the country. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it works out from here on. This is going to be kind of hard to explain, but, you know, let's say there's a pool of, you know, 5 high 4-star guys that Clemson is at least interested in, and they can't bring them to campus. Clemson really narrows that focus when they can bring them to campus, talk to them. You talk to them about things other than football and kind of really get to know a prospect. You know, they have to be a personality fit at Clemson just as much as they are a football fit. So I think Clemson's going to get theirs. They're going to still get a high 4-star guy at whatever position it may be. But hypothetically, I don't think you're going to see it hurt Clemson from the recruits committing end, but it's gonna hurt necessarily from Clemson maybe not getting the exact personality fit because they don't have that in-person contact, if that makes any sense. So I don't think you're going to notice it necessarily on the board that we missed out on a 4-star or a 5-star recruit or anything like that. But Clemson's not going to be able to do the narrowing down that they really want to get necessarily with some in-person contact.
And I echo that sentiment as well. I think to a degree we were already doing Zoom calls or FaceTime with recruits before the pandemic happened. You know, one of the stories was as the team was trotting out onto the field with the crowd getting ready for the national championship game, Tyler Grisham had a FaceTime going with Troy Stellato showing him off what was going on. So this isn't uncommon already. And I think the positive with this is we have a coaching staff in place who is very relationally driven. So they're going to know how to operate this. They're going to know how to foster these relationships even in these new tech times, being able to Zoom and chat with them. The other side of this, though, I think there's going to be, when this does kind of normalize and we can bring people back to campus, that's ultimately what I think Clemson wants. They're going to do this as long as they have to. But I think part of what Alan was saying is looking for that culture fit, looking for the person that fits the personality of Clemson. I think part of the draw to Clemson is a family appeal and bringing people into a family. It's really hard to do that. It's really hard to purvey that when you can't bring someone to like an all-in cookout. I mean, think about how many big-time recruits we've been able to draw in with that cookout itself. So I think there's positives to it, and I think we're going to be able to work our way around. But I also think as soon as this is able to normalize, then we're going to start bringing them back to campus just to show off our family atmosphere.
And really, it depends on where it falls in the calendar. If you look at the last year's calendar, and the NCAA, go figure, hasn't even updated their calendar for the 2020-2021 recruiting cycle. They still have the 2019 and 2020 up there, and they just have a COVID-19 like warning up there saying that it may not be the same as if you're reading it or watching it. But if you go to the NCAA's website, you can see it there as their recruiting calendar. You'll know that when you start out January February, there's a little bit of a dead period. Now, a dead period is a time when it's not permissible to make in-person recruiting contacts or evaluations on or off the member's institution. So on or off campus, you can't go make contact in person. And so unofficial visits by prospective student athletes to the institution's campus or anything like that. So unofficial, official, it's a dead period, which basically means dead. So that is from January 1st to about the middle of January. That's the way at least it was originally set out. So they did that to January 16th. And then on January 17th, they had what's called a contact period. Now you'll notice this is kind of when around the time Clemson will have those elite junior days. They'll bring in some juniors from the 2021 class, from the 2020, maybe somebody who's elite from 2022. They'll come in at middle January, end of January, and that's when, basically they can have contact with the person in person, or the player in person. Staff members can make in-person, off-campus recruiting contacts and evaluation, and on campus. So it's basically, open period, basically. They do that for about 2.5 weeks, and then you get into February. On February the 3rd, they went back into a dead period. This is kind of leading up into spring practice and spring game. So February really was all a dead period anyways. Now the difference is that when you start in March is a quiet period where coaches can't go to their campus. They can't go to them, but players can come to the coaches. So that's where you see the Dabo Swinney all-in cookout, where you see like the May, where like DJ Uiagalelei and DeMarcus Bowman and those guys all committed at the same time. I believe Brian Brissy all committed around that May timeframe, late March, April, May timeframe. And so they typically get these guys on campus and can really evaluate them. And this is a time, too, where you get like the Ajoa Joes out there who didn't originally have a offer, but then are given one because of things opening up or because they just do so great in the evaluation on camp or in the camp. So they got about 2 weeks into that in March. If you can remember, guys, it's already like June now, middle of June. But middle of March, they got about 2 weeks into that, and then they froze it and went to a dead period due to COVID-19. Now, originally, they said, okay, dead period goes back into effect from middle of March through the end of April. Well, that basically took away all those on-campus visits that normally schools do. And off-campus visits as well kind of started towards the end of April into May. That took that all away. May 30, they moved it then to May 31st. That took all that away. Now they've moved it, I believe, to the end of July 31st. Mm-hmm. So that takes away all of June. Now it takes away all of July. Now really, end of June, majority of July, that's a dead period as well. So there's nothing really missed there. But man, you can't get back a half a month. Let's see, 3.5 months of on and off campus recruiting opportunities now are gone. Now, they're not going to be able to make that up in the fall, guys. I mean, because before we know it, August is a dead period again because, hey, they've got to worry about their current team doing fall practice. So you're not going to have these guys coming in August. If, let's say, they continue as normal with fall practice in August, you're not going to have these guys come back in August. So by the time August ends, what do you got? That's real-time games. That's traveling. That's preparing for Saturdays. So September, October, not only is Clemson playing games, but guess what? These high schools are playing games again. So it's going to be difficult for those players to have any chance. Then you get to December, and that was a question kind of posed. Do you think that anything is going to change with as far as December? I mean, before we get to it, we're going to creep up to the season. They're not going to have opportunities. They're going to be back in class. December normally is that early signing day period where Dabo Swinney did really well last year. Is this going to be something where they get rid of early signing day altogether and go back to February? What do you guys think?
I doubt that. I think they're going to keep everything just as is. I mean, if the kids are going to want to commit, whether they've taken an official visit or not or anything like that, I don't think it's going to be an issue with the early signing period. I intend for Clemson to get them in there for, an official visit here or there like they usually do during the season for a game or something to that effect. And they're going to sign early just like they've been doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think for the most part for 2021, we've got a lot of our evaluation done. They've done that a lot prior to this year. I think they'll keep it the same. You may see maybe one or two commits wait until the February signing period. And you may see that all across the board for other teams where there may be more February signings, but I don't think there's going to be any changes as far as the signing day itself. I think this actually affects more of what happens for the class after this one with 2022. So there may be a little bit more heavily involved with their camp evaluation period after that for 2022 after this year. But I feel like it's not going to be as big of an effect on 2021.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things to talk about, a lot of unknowns out there because it seems like even the NCAA is just playing it by ear. Thanks for watching this video, and make sure to join our live show every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it.